We all carry around one of the most advanced cameras ever designed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sitting right there in your pocket, a
Yeah.
device that can run these, I don't know, complex algorithms and AI models just to grab a quick snapshot of your lunch.
Exactly.
But if you're like most people, you are only just scratching the surface. You're taking pictures, but the difference between taking a snapshot and making a photograph is knowing how to command that AI that runs the show.
That is the perfect distinction. And our mission today is to, bridge that gap for you. We've gone deep into a fantastic guide we call the Pixel Zone, our source for this dive, to help you move from simply snapping to creating images with intent.
I like that. Intent.
The whole idea behind the Pixel camera is kind of revolutionary, really.
Mhm.
Let the software shoulder the technical burden, all the heavy lifting, so you, the user, can just focus on composition, on seeing the light, and on telling your story.
Okay, let's unpack that heavy lifting idea right away because I think understanding this is the key to mastering your phone. It's really the core difference between the cameras we have now and, well, the film cameras we grew up with.
Oh, absolutely. Historically, if you wanted a truly great photograph, it took two things. First, you needed a skilled eye to capture the light perfectly.
Right, in the moment.
And second, you had to spend hours, maybe even days, in a physical darkroom, with chemicals and timers and all these specialized tools to get the print just right.
Dodging and burning, I remember that.
Exactly. Today, your phone doesn't just take a photo. It has that miniature AI-powered darkroom built right inside it, and it does all that work instantly through something called computational photography.
So when I press the shutter button, what's happening behind the scenes that makes it so much more powerful than a classic camera?
The phone isn't taking one image. It's capturing a rapid burst of frames, sometimes 10, sometimes 20 all in a few milliseconds.
Wow.
Then the AI analyzes every single one of those. It aligns them, it identifies the best parts, the bright sky from this one, the dark shadows from that one, and it blends them all together.
So that's the HDR process we always hear about.
A very, very sophisticated version of it, yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting because this computation, it just shifts the whole philosophy of photography. It means the camera's output is driven by data, not just by the glass and the lens.
That's it. There's a great quote from the engineers that really sums it up. They say, it's not the lens or the megapixels that make the picture. It's what we can do with the data.
The hardware is the canvas, but the software is the painter.
Exactly. The software is the painter.
I think the autopilot analogy is super helpful here.
It is. Think of your phone like a car with the most advanced autopilot in the world. When you use the default settings, that autopilot will get you safely from point A to point B every single time.
You get a usable snapshot, a safe result.
A safe result.
Mhm.
But if you take the time to learn the controls, to manually guide that car, you start to discover the scenic routes, the creative shortcuts, the unexpected views that the autopilot would just never choose. The power is there. You just have to decide to use it.
So the philosophy of pixel photography really offers four things then. Simplicity, because the AI handles the basics. Power, because these results can rival dedicated cameras.
For sure.
Flexibility with all the modes, and I guess superior storytelling. Because the best camera is, well, it's the one you have with you.
Absolutely. And to find those scenic routes, you have to understand the tools. We need to move beyond just that main shutter button and look at that carousel of shooting modes.
The modes photo, portrait, night sight, motion, they seem simple, but they're clearly designed for very different, very creative tasks.
They're your different brushes. Knowing when to use each one is the difference between just recording a scene and actually crafting a narrative.
Let's start with the one everyone loves, portrait mode. We all know it gives us that blurry background look, that bokeh, but we often use it without really understanding why it works so well.
It's pure computational magic. It's designed to simulate the shallow depth of field you normally only get with a big, expensive DSLR lens.
So how does it do it?
The phone uses AI and depth data, sometimes from a couple of different sensors, to map out the scene. It figures out what's in the foreground, what's in the background, and then it just selectively blurs that background.
And that isolation is what makes the subject pop. I struggled with this at first, trying to get way too close to my subject. But there's a really great tip in the source material about this.
The compression pro tip,
Yeah.
yes. If you want that background blur to look even smoother, more dramatic, don't stand right on top of your subject.
Okay.
Step back a bit, and then use the phone's zoom, say, to 2 or 3x.
Yeah.
Using that telephoto lens doesn't just magnify, it visually compresses the background. It makes the distance between your subject and the background feel smaller.
So that compression makes the blur look stronger, creamier,
Okay.
more
Precisely.
realistic.
It tricks your eye into thinking you've used a much larger, much more professional lens.
Okay, moving from controlling depth in light to controlling light in darkness night sight. This has to be the crown jewel for a lot of people. It tackles scenes our eyes can barely even
Yeah.
see.
It's transformative.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to take a photo of a dimly lit street or a campfire, you know how quickly traditional cameras
Hmm.
they just give you a grainy, noisy mess?
Oh, yeah.
Night sight just rejects that whole single shot idea.
So how does it pull out all that detail and color from what looks like nothing?
It stacks multiple long exposures. Instead of one quick shot, it's gathering light for several seconds, maybe 5 or 6. It uses these incredibly smart algorithms to align all those slightly shaky frames, remove the noise, and blend them into one crisp, colorful image.
And the detail you get in the shadows is it's unbelievable for a phone.
It is
Now, the catch here, and I think this frustrates a lot of new users, is stability.
crucial. The AI is smart enough to correct for small hand tremors for sure, but you get peak performance by stabilizing the camera. Even just leaning against a wall or setting the phone on a table, it dramatically improves the result.
And that stability is absolutely non-negotiable when we jump to one of the most exciting features, astrophotography.
The night sky unveiled. This mode only kicks in when the phone detects extreme darkness and knows it's perfectly stable,
Hmm.
like on a tripod or a rock.
And then it just goes.
Then it starts an exposure sequence that can last for several minutes.
Several minutes. You really have to be patient for that one.
You do, but the reward is worth it. It captures just astonishing clarity. You can see constellations, maybe even the Milky Way if you're in a dark enough spot. It's the ultimate proof of that computational darkroom.
Incredible. Okay, let's shift gears from managing light to managing time. The motion modes. These are all about making time an artistic element.
All right, 2 main tools here. First is long exposure mode. This is for those classic effects like turning a waterfall into silky white streaks or car headlights into ribbons of light.
And again, stability is key. You need a tripod or a stable surface.
You must be on a fixed surface for that one. But the other one, panning, is much more dynamic. It creates these really high-energy photos.
Panning is the one where you actually move the camera with your subject, right?
Exactly. You're following a cyclist or a runner, and you try to match their speed perfectly. Because you're moving with them, the background gets blurred into these beautiful abstract streaks, but your moving subject stays relatively sharp.
It's the perfect way to inject life and speed into an action shot without needing, a professional sport camera.
Right. It tells the story of motion instead of just freezing a single moment.
Okay, so we've covered the computational core, the modes for time and light. Now let's talk perspective. Because the lenses on your phone, the ultra wide, the standard, the telephoto, they aren't just about zoom. They're about choosing the story you want to tell.
That's the language of lenses. Every time you switch from 1x to 0.5x or 3x, you are making an artistic choice that changes the entire mood of the picture.
The standard wide, the 1x, that's the workhorse.
It's your most versatile lens. It's the closest to how our eyes naturally see the world. Its story is one of context. It's here's the subject in their world. It captures everything without a lot of distortion.
Then you hit the ultra wide, the 0.5x, and everything just changes. That's the drama setting.
The ultra-wide is all about exaggeration. It expands the scene and it exaggerates distance. So things close to the camera feel huge and the background just stretches way, way back.
What's the pro tip for that? Because if you just stand there and shoot with it, the photo can feel a bit empty.
You have to get physically close to your foreground.
Yeah.
If you're shooting a giant cathedral, walk right up to a pillar. If it's a landscape, put a rock or a flower right at your feet. By emphasizing what's closest, you maximize that sense of dramatic scale.
The story becomes, here's this massive world, and look how small we are in it.
That's it. And then at the opposite end, you have the telephoto lens.
The 2 or 3x.
That lens is all about isolation and intimacy. Yes, it brings things closer, but its most powerful effect is that compression we talked about. It makes backgrounds appear closer, and they blur beautifully. It's perfect for isolating a person's face from a busy background.
So the story there is, here's the subject. Isolated. Important.
Exactly. But there is a caveat. You have to use the telephoto in good light. Since those lenses have smaller apertures, low-light telephoto shots can get pretty soft. I'd stick to the standard wide lens when it gets dim.
And what about when you just can't get any closer? We've all been there, pinching to zoom, knowing the quality is dropping.
That's where super red zoom kicks in. It's Google's answer to bad digital zoom. Instead of just cropping the pixels, it aligns and merges multiple frames. It uses the tiny movements of your hand to gather extra data.
Oh, that's clever.
It is. and it lets you maintain surprisingly good detail up to about 4x. It's for when you absolutely have to fill the frame without moving your feet.
Okay, so we've got the hardware, the AI, the modes. Now, the most important part for someone wanting to be intentional, taking control. We're not talking full manual like a film camera, but pro controls without the fuss.
Right, and it's important to remember your aperture is fixed. On a big camera, you control light and blur with the aperture. Here, our controls are mostly about focus and exposure, but those are the essential levers for creativity.
Let's start with the most accessible one, exposure compensation.
That's the little sun icon that pops up when you tap the screen to focus. The phone's autopilot is always trying to create a balanced, middle-of-the-road exposure, but sometimes that's just wrong.
Like shooting in the snow, right? The phone sees all that white and tries to turn it gray.
Precisely. So you have to intervene, you tap, and you slide that sun icon up to tell the phone, no, this should be bright. Or, conversely, if you're shooting a sunset, you slide it down a bit to underexpose. That makes the colors deeper, more fiery, more dramatic.
That intentional use is the key.
It is.
What's the next essential control?
Focus lock. The autofocus is brilliant, but if your subject is off-center, for a rule of thirds composition, the phone might focus on the background by mistake.
Or for close-ups, where you need it to be tack sharp.
Exactly. So you just long press on the screen where you want the focus to be. It locks it right on that point. That way, even if you recompose the shot a little, the crucial part, like the eyes in a portrait, stays perfectly clear.
And then there's white balance. A lot of people see this as just a technical setting, but you're saying it's a creative tool.
Oh, it's a powerhouse for creating mood. Its job is to make colors accurate, under sunlight or indoor lights. But you can purposely set the wrong white balance for a specific effect.
Give me an example of that trick.
Okay, so you're outside on a bright, sunny day, but you want the photo to feel cold, wintry, maybe a little moody. You switch the white balance setting to tungsten. Tungsten is designed to correct for very warm indoor light bulbs. So when you use it outside, it adds this massive, cool, bluish cast to the whole image. It's a fantastic cheat code for dramatic shots.
That's a great tip. Okay, so once we've captured this intentional image right mode, right lens, right exposure, the journey isn't over. We have to talk about the second half of it all, the editing.
The digital darkroom. It is non-negotiable in modern photography, but the idea is to enhance, not to overdo it. You're just correcting small errors, emphasizing your subject, adding your style. You're not trying to blast the saturation until everyone's skin is orange.
And the best tools are built right in.
Right. You've got a dual toolkit. Google Photos is great for quick fixes, auto enhance, cropping, and you can even adjust the portrait blur after you take the shot, which is amazing.
Incredibly useful.
But for deeper, more professional control, you have to get Snapseed. It's a free Google app, and it brings pro-level tools to your phone.
What makes Snapseed the real deep dive tool?
Precision. It has tools like selective adjust. So let's say your subject's face is a little too dark. Instead of brightening the whole photo and washing it out, selective adjust lets you pick just the face and brighten it locally.
That level of localized control changes everything.
It does. And it has a healing tool for removing small distractions. A stray branch, a piece of trash in the corner. You just brush it away. It's that final act of refinement that turns a good photo into a really compelling one.
Okay, so we've covered the core computation, the modes, the lenses, the final polish. What does this all mean for the person holding their phone right now?
It means the technology has done its part, and now the challenge is yours. The takeaways are to know that computation is your friend. It's always there backing you up. To use the modes purposefully, each one is a doing storytelling tool. And finally, to start seeing light and perspective as your paintbrush.
And the photographer's mindset, how do we actually practice this?
Don't wait for a vacation. Don't wait for the Grand Canyon. Practice everywhere. A glass of water on a table, a puddle reflecting the sky, the texture of a brick wall. Shoot hundreds of photos, delete what doesn't work, and always, always ask yourself, what story am I trying to tell?
Let's leave our listener with a final challenge then, something to put this all into action.
I love that. Let's do a 7-day photo journey. Try to capture one high-effort image each day, using a different technique we've talked about.
Okay, what's day one?
Day 1, a portrait using that compression technique, step back, zoom in. Day 2, a dramatic landscape with the ultra-wide. Remember to get close to your foreground.
Day 3.
A close-up macro shot using focus lock for precision. Day 4, a night shot. Use night sight and find something to brace the phone on.
Okay, we're almost there.
Day 5, an action shot. Try panning a moving car or a person. Day 6, an everyday object. Photograph it, but use exposure compensation to create some drama. And finally, day 7. A short photo series, maybe 3 to 5 photos, that tells a little story using all these different techniques.
That is a serious challenge that guarantees you'll learn something. Your phone camera is so much more than just a tool. It's a powerful window to your own creativity. Go out there, embrace the computation, make mistakes, and just keep shooting.